Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well today. Okay, we'll get started in a minute or two here. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see you. Good morning. Okay, we'll wait a few more minutes here. We got a lot of activities today. Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, I think I'm going to get started here. We still have people joining us, but I'm going to get started so we cover all that we need to cover this before Nancy comes. So I just wanted to go through our schedule here. Oh, someone's in the waiting room. Let's see. Okay. I just enabled the waiting room, so people should be able to come in. I'm going to just go through our class outline here so people understand where we are and where we're going. So class 1, we did the business model canvas. You remember that? I would like you to be working through that. You've listed your assumptions in the business model canvas, and then through your customer discovery, I'm hoping you're changing it up a bit and figuring out if your unique value proposition or the problem that you're solving is what the market needs. So these first few classes have all been around testing and getting out there and making sure there's market need before you start your startup. So the second one, we talked about target market and customer segmentation. The third class was with Colette, and you talked about testing business ideas, getting out there and doing your interviews, doing your LinkedIn contacts or your Facebook messaging, whichever tactics work for you and the target market that you think you're going to focus on. So we've done these first few classes all around doing the pre-work to starting up your business. I would like you not to spend any money on your business before you know about your target market segment and whether there is a market need. So we haven't really gone into getting your LLC, except that we did have G&G Law here talk about that. But once you've tested your idea, figured out there's market need, figured out your target market segment, then it's time to consider, getting your legal entity, forming or getting your name, getting your website, getting your business license, getting your business bank account, all those steps to start up. So class 4, we talked about market research and continuing that discovery journey. Today, we have class 5 as marketing strategies. So we're kind of making a switch here. This is the second half of the plan for profit. And this is starting to talk about when you do start up your business, or some of you are already in business. So this is information to consider when you do start up your business. So we will have a subject matter expert come and talk about marketing. And then class 6, we'll have a sales expert come and talk about sales strategies. And then class 7, we have an accountant coming to talk about financial terms, what's the difference between a debit and a credit and an asset and a liability. And then we have an access to capital team member coming, and she's going to talk about debt versus equity and, what's private equity? How do I get investors if you're interested in that? And then class 8, this is the one I'm taking interviews on. I'm doing my customer discovery to see what you need. And we've had some discussions around practical knowledge and cash flow projections. And then we do have an insurance expert coming, class 8. And then class 9, we will have a pitch day where you'll give a 2-minute pitch to all the participants and also to some panelists. So any questions about where we've been and where we're going? I thought since we are at the halfway point, I'm going to send a link out to you and a 30-minute session link so you can sign up for that, so we can work through one-on-one, work through your business model canvas and look at that, and also talk about the customer discovery you've been able to do or that you're trying to do. So today we're going to discuss last week's homework. We're going to talk about marketing strategy and tactics. And we're going to have some fun at the end and work together using your unique value proposition or the problem you're solving and try to create a slogan for your business. Okay, so hopefully you got to complete some customer discovery interviews last week, find some competitors, find industry trends using the information that the librarian and Bridget gave to you. And then most of you probably are not working on a business plan, but this is the time to get started on one if you want to do so. Remember, we said a business plan is really not needed until you are loan ready, because not many people will ask for a business plan. Investors will, but you have to wait till that point to be ready for that. So any questions on where we've been? Any stories you want to tell about your customer discovery interviews? I know I've received a number of Excel spreadsheets with the customers that you did, or the prospective customers that you got to talk to. I know Jennifer and Dr. Angela, you were able to talk to someone. Do you want to tell the class a little bit about it?
Angela, I interviewed 3, I know I was supposed to interview 2, but I interviewed 3 people. 2 were mid-level HR people, and the third was a VP in HR, DEI. My business looks at corporate mental health for Black employees, and these were people who I had relationships with. They had used my services at least one time. And so it was really interesting because where the field was going last summer is not where the field went. Last summer, people thought that what we would be looking at is awareness and building allyship and bringing together different racial ethnic groups to talk about racism, anti-racism, those types of things. That's pivoted. That's not what people, even though people put out statements in the summer in terms of being against racism. That's not where the field has gone. And the field really has gone into ensuring the wellness of not only Black employees, but the term is BIPOC, so other ethnic minorities, racial minorities as well, and particularly what has risen is racism against Asian Americans. So the other thing that I found out was that what employees are saying is that we want people who look like us to be talking to us about these issues, so that Asian Americans want somebody who is an Asian American to work with them. Black Americans want somebody who is a Black American to work with them. And then that companies want someone who can be sustainable, who is not where it's not a one and done deal. So that was really helpful to me and helped me revise a bit what I'm going to do and how I'm going to pitch.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing. Jennifer, did you want to tell anything about, I know you said you got some revelation.
Sure. I talked to some more people, mostly parents with young children. And it pretty much confirmed a lot of what I've already thought about, having been a parent with young children. I did notice that people are very hesitant to spend a large amount of money on something that has no tangible or immediate benefit. And sorry, I didn't say that I'm an attorney, I do estate planning. So there's no, you have these documents that might be helpful to you later if something happens, but there's nothing that nothing that you can see the result of right now. So it's that part of it that, I'm struggling with, especially with pricing as well, because I know that it's a lot of money to ask someone to pay for something that, for something that might happen, but, it's good to have. So yeah, so that's where I am now. And I think that, hopefully we'll talk about pricing later on. So that will help me kind of figure it out and meet the client's needs as well. And their
Yeah,
concerns.
I mean, it's difficult to plan, well, to think about death and
Yes.
planning that way. But I mean, if you put it, I don't know, I always wanted to make sure my kids would be safe.
Yeah, I actually today's on Tuesday, I actually did a presentation to about 4 parents. They somehow found me through Facebook, through a mom's group that someone else had recommended me. So instead of doing, separate conversations with them, I decided I'll just do a presentation, and that's something I had been thinking about doing anyway. So I did that on Tuesday, kind of gave them an overview of the process, why you need an estate plan, what happens if you don't have one, and kind of just a rundown of what's in an estate plan, because most people don't know, what exactly what you would get if you have, you go through the process. So that lasted about 30 minutes. I answered some questions and actually got 2 people to come back and, set up a meeting, and hopefully I think that they'll probably do it. But my thought is, I think all parents know they need one, whether they're willing to put forth the effort of, getting that information to me so that I can, do that planning with them, and then paying the cost of doing that I think is the difficult part.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, thank you for sharing.
yeah.
Okay, we are going to move forward here. I'm going to let Nancy speak because she is here. Let me introduce Nancy, and then you can share your presentation, Nancy. So Nancy Benjamin is here with us today. Thank you so much. She is dedicated to helping small to mid-market businesses grow and thrive in today's crowded marketplace. As a business advisor with Cultivate Advisors, she works tirelessly one-on-one with clients to solve their unique challenges with action-driven plans to penetrate the market, promote their message, more effectively sell, recruit exceptional staff, scale their businesses, and lead with confidence. When it comes to business advising, Nancy's background backs up her skill set. She worked for some of the top ad agencies for more than a decade, honed her marketing skills, and launched products for a variety of prominent brands. She launched an international import business, running it for more than 2 decades before she sold it 5 years ago and became a business advisor. So please join me in welcoming Nancy. Thank you so much, Nancy. I'm going to stop sharing here so you can share your screen.
Hi, everybody, and thank you. If you could do me a favor, by the way, it is so much nicer to talk to faces than boxes. So if you up arrow on your video, even if you want some privacy, you can do a virtual background, but I would love to see your faces if you wouldn't mind. That would be great. So thank you for doing that. And welcome. I love what Maura is going through with you. It's all the wonderful fundamentals of business. So I am going to do the marketing side. Maura, I do need you to enable me to share the screen, if you may.
There we go.
Okay, thank you so much. I've got a little presentation for you. Marketing, as you might imagine, ties into everything. The lessons that you learn in marketing also help you in your sales, speaking, and your message, you know, when you get out there for everybody. So it's just so important. I'm going to emphasize, well, you know what I mean? I'm doing it very reasonably because you're all just starting out, or most of you. So I want to make sure that this is something that we can actually do, that I'm not showing you something that you're not going to be able to implement. So taking your product or service to market is exactly what marketing is. And then obviously somebody needs to buy it, right? Now, there is sales where you just flatly might mention what you do, and there is marketing, you know, to Jacksonville or to moms for Christmas, right? Marketing adds that extra color, that extra spin, and it's a good thing to bring into your sales as well, so that the message is crystal clear what the benefit is, or you're appealing to somebody's emotional, you know, view on that as well, right? So the next challenge, of course, with marketing is always how much money you have to do it, right? So we're going to walk through some of the things that you can do. Now, of course, there are the 4 P's of marketing: product, place, and promotion. And price, just as Jen was talking about. But that actually is a mode from the 1950s, still valid, and a lot of those principles are still in place, but it also has a little bit more to do with how you've set up your business and a little bit less to do with how you're taking your message out there. So I'm going to propose an alternative for you, and that is this: message, target, tactics, and measurements. Okay? First thing we want to get down is your message. Make sure that your message talks to the benefit of your product for your audience. That is very important. You got to know your target audience, put yourself in front of the right people. You want to use effective tactics. It is not just social media. You might think so these days. And of course, that's a reasonable way to do things, but not the only thing out there. And then measurement. Once you've put it out there, you want to keep measuring it and making sure that that's working for you so that you know you're getting some traction, okay? So message, target, tactics, measurement, all right? Just to make sure that we've got that down. Messaging for marketing, this is the most important thing. And I'll tell you, even for my clients, some of whom are large and some of whom are small, even some of the large ones don't have this down. Messaging should be about what your product does, not what your product is. I don't know if you've ever landed on a website and seen some dictionary definition saying, oh, we are a, you know, whatever marketing firm that does X, Y, and Z, right? Kind of boring, doesn't make you relate to it. It doesn't speak to the needs or the problems that you have. We want to know what you do, and in what particularly what you do for your audience. So if you're doing estate planning, we give you the peace of mind in your retirement that you're covered for yourself and for your kids or your family, right? You want to know what your product does. Okay. So how do we get into that? Well, first of all, that little graphic in the corner, we want to talk about the story, not the statistics. There is a statistic that says we all forget, I believe it's 95% of what we learn 24 hours after. But I bet you all can remember a lot of stories that stuck with you. Somebody told me the story and it really resonated with me. I can still repeat it, right? So when you're marketing, think of the story. It doesn't mean that statistics can't back you up. If you're going to say, 90% better employee engagement post DEI training, that's great. But you want to tell the story of what you do. So think first of the problem that your service or product solves. I just heard from two of you, obviously, about the DEI training and then also about the will and estates. But think about what kind of problem you're solving and then why you solve it better. There's got to be something unique about your approach, about the way you've designed your business, or even just about who you are and what you bring to something. You're an empathetic person because you grew up like this, right? Why do you solve something better, right? And the third part is, what is the result of solving that for the customer? And once again, that's that bell ringer, benefit. What is the result of solving that? Because you solve that, what kind of wonderful result is your client going to have? This is from a gentleman named Donald Miller. He has a company named Story Branding, and I think it's now about $30 million company just from telling other people how to brand themselves, so not too shabby. I use my own prompts for this. If you're trying to think what your story is, think of it like this. You know how small business life can seem chaotic and there are no peers you can turn to and you don't know who to get expert advice from to start a business. Well, we at Cultivate Advisors fix that by digging deep into your business, figuring out a roadmap for what you need going forward, and scale up your skills as a leader step by step so that you can run your small business profitably with less stress and realize good growth, right? So that's how that model works. You know how that kind of shows you have some insight as to what the problems people have are. You know how you're hoping you'll be covered for your retirement, but you're not sure you've quite figured that out? Well, we break it down step by step, look at your assets and set up the best plan so that you and your family can have this seamless transition into your retirement years. Something like that, right? So think of that. You know how? Well, so you can, because that's their wonderful benefit. Here's another example. You know how during the day your stocks slide down into your shoes until they wad up and are uncomfortable and people are like, oh yeah, I got that problem. Well, we create socks with 10 times the stay put power so you can look good and be comfortable all day. I thought socks were all the same, but now maybe I'm interested. That is the power of marketing and putting your message out there in a way where it's a real benefit, where you've tapped into a problem somebody has and it's a real benefit. So just like Maura was talking about, you need to know your value proposition, what makes you special, what makes you different. One of the things I like to do is say, hey, if I had $1 million to invest in your company, why should I bother to invest in you? Give me a good reason. Well, we are not like the other DEI consultants. We come at it from this perspective. That's what makes you special. So have that answer from somebody. Be ready to tell them, hey, this is what makes us special. FYI, in business differentiation for business models, there are generally 4 things that make you special as a company. One is the product itself. We're distinctive in some way. I'm distinctive about it. My approach is distinctive. I have this kind of training, which led to this kind of method. The second one is that we deliver that product differently, right? Think of Uber or Amazon. They're the same as the stores out there online, and they're the same as the taxi companies. But with Uber, you jump in, you don't have to mess with your credit card. It's all on the app. It's a different delivery system. With Amazon, they deliver sometimes within the day. Different delivery for the same thing that a million other people are doing. So that's one of the ways they differentiated. Sometimes it's about promotion. Is Nike really a better shoe? Or do they just have this trade mystique that makes them better than the many other shoes that are manufactured out there? So think about what makes you special. So you have something unique that solves a problem better, and that's the benefit of your product, what it does, not what it is, right? You want to bring that home for your folks, right? Problem plus the benefit and solution equals the result for the client, for the prospective customer. Are there any questions about this? Is this all clear? I'm actually going to stop sharing for 1 second to pop up the chat. I forgot to pop up that screen. So let me go back to sharing. Any questions about what I've gone over so far? Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
This is Angela.
Yeah, Angela.
And so when you're talking about yourself, I have a book that's a perennial bestseller. Do I say that as I talk about, as I market?
Yes, I would. I would make that part of your credibility. You've seen that all the time, that the author of such and such brings, this perspective to, or sometimes the book defines a unique method that you have.
Okay.
A challenger brand approach, right? Or a profit first approach to, whatever it is that you do. Yeah. A real credibility play. Other people can't say that. So that is something that makes you unique as well.
Okay.
So I want you all to take a second and give it a try. What is the problem that you're solving? How does your product solve that problem? And therefore, after you solve that problem for your prospective client, what is that wonderful result? Now, I didn't get a chance to go over it with you because we have limited time, but I don't know if any of you are in the product business, but even for product, hair tangled, well, number 10 conditioner has proven to get out, 95% of the tangles for, I don't know, 1 million people. So that you can, brush your hair in the morning without getting upset or whatever it is, right? I'm thinking of my daughter here, but anyway. So think, even if it's a product, what kind of problem does that solve? And sometimes the problem when you're talking about a product is just you want to feel more glamorous, for clothing, right? Or you want to not be bored. It's a unique puzzle that's so engaging and intriguing, right? So it applies to products or services across the board.
Yeah, now, Nancy, everyone here is selling professional services. So they are all services.
All right, then I won't talk to product anymore. All right, Thank you so much, Maura. That's fine. For service, obviously, once you've provided this service, there's a very definite benefit at the end. Now, here's the next part. That's your target audience. Why do we want to have our target audience down? Because we want to know who we're talking to. You might think when you do marketing that you're marketing to the masses, right? It's like taking out a megaphone. What it really is a one-on-one conversation. The great advertiser, David Ogilvy of Ogilvy and Mather, said, when you're advertising, you're not speaking to a stadium, right? They're only with you in that moment. And you want to remember it, because it should be like a conversation like you and I are having. I know that you guys are startups or early stage entrepreneurs. So I'm going to speak to that when I speak to you. So if I started talking about CFOs and COOs, etc., it probably wouldn't land with you. That's not the audience, right? You want to make sure you're speaking to your right audience. So the group that your message is aimed at, generally the buyer, like somebody who wants a loan, is your target audience. Sometimes you have several, and you're also targeting a connector, like the CPA who knows these people who want a loan, or the banker that knows these people who want a loan, you know, whatever it is, right? So sometimes it's the end user of your service, and sometimes it's the middleman or connector, and it's fine to have several target audiences. Okay. So then who has the problem that your product or service solves? Other nice to haves, urgency about the problem. So for instance, if you're planning will and estates, maybe it's somebody who is a new parent because it's top of mind, just like Maura said that she's thinking of her kids, right? Maybe there's a special demand for your product and service. I know a lot of people during COVID wanted to make sure their finances were in order. And maybe there's a scarcity of solutions, or a scarcity of solutions of people who operate like you do, right? You might have the urgency, you might have the demand, but there are a few will and estate people who will do it for $1,800. Well, I solve that scarcity of solutions for you. So who has the problem? Who has the urgency and demand? And how do you fill any sort of scarcity that's out there? Those are the people who are most likely to buy. So why target a bunch of people where you have to educate them to death, etc., right? You want people with what in advertising we call intent, with the intent to be ready to buy. Your most likely to buy target audience is going to have the need for what you do, the desire, or sometimes we create the desire, right? Oh yeah, now that you mention it, that does sound really good, right? And they have a certain amount of urgency. You don't want people who are thinking of it 10 years from now. You want people who are thinking of needing your services now. Why now? Solving that urgency piece is one of the biggest things you can do. That's why they have sales and say, hey, from 9 to 5, only on Memorial Day, you know, only twice a year do we offer this kind of thing. And you've got to come in and then you get this big discount. They are driving the urgency. In business, how do we drive the urgency? Well, when COVID happened, all of us advisors said, hey, you're probably trying to figure out what to do with your business. We'd be happy to help you. The urgency was right then. Okay. So your target audience's needs match your service or product benefit. So I hope that's clear to everybody who you want to think of and who targets, right? So 5 ways to discover your target audience. Think of what your product does, not is. Once again, a stapler that binds pages together. What problem does it solve? Well, it prevents pages or attachments from getting lost. Who might benefit? Well, a business that uses printed reports or attaches items to sheets. They don't want to get their stuff lost, right? Why would they like it solved? So that the papers are organized and nothing's lost. And what is the underlying desire? Think of why would they really even bother? Get over that inertia and take that action. Well, they really want to be organized, be viewed as competent, and be efficient at their work. That's why they would want to bother, right? Now you want to think who would benefit from that. Well, let me think. Law offices still have to do a lot of things on paper. Passport offices, a lot of times that's still a paper exchange because you need a photo, etc. with that. Currency exchanges that are accepting documents from people who might not be up to speed with all the digital items of it. Those are all people who would need a stapler, right? So think of who your target audience is, okay? What your product does, what problems it solves, who would benefit it, why they want it solved, and what is their underlying desire? What do they want to hope to achieve at the end? Even if it's just being more confident. That's why they want a speaking coach, whatever it is, right? Who is your target audience? Next, we get into tactics. Everybody asked me, oh, what channel should I be on? How many times should I post? I said, I don't know what you're trying to do. But I'm going to do the shortened version since once again, we don't have a ton of time, but I'm going to suggest the things that matter the most. Obviously, these days, a website is your calling card. Everybody needs one, hands down. Even if you don't use it as a sales mechanism, everybody's going to go there to check that you're not a phone booth under the Williamsburg Bridge, that you really exist, you have some credentials like Angela was talking about, and you're credible, right? Your website should follow the sales process. It should take people from being aware of you to being truly interested in you, to then have a vision of how easy as it would be to work with you so that they want to take action. We call it a sales funnel, and your website should follow that process. So if you're just doing a dictionary definition without any benefit, your website needs some work. You want to be saying your benefit up at the top, and then how you would evaluate something, how you would take somebody through the process, you know, and then what's unique about you, show them the 1, 2, 3 steps so they can see how easy it would be to access your services, and then ask them to take action. So that's very important. The website right up at the top should convey your message or your benefit, right? Need a will and estate done for only $1,800, whatever, that's a price pitch. But I'm just saying, whatever it is, right up at the top. You've checked your competitors. One of the things Maura was talking about in those interviews too, you need to know what the marketplace, where they are right now, some of that learning, and that you've checked your competitors. So you say, you know what, compared to these guys, I do this. Compared to these guys, I differ by doing this. Compared to these guys, I differ from doing this. One of my favorite things to do, even with my clients now, is say, think of somebody who does your service really, really badly. What's wrong with those people? And how do you do a better job? I'm not that lawyer who never returns phone calls, right? I have a transparent approach to pricing. So you don't just think like, oh, I'm running up a big tab and taking longer, right? Think of what somebody does bad and therefore what you do well. You're going to want to check your website's SEO with a professional or somebody like an advisor like I can walk you through it. You're probably going to want to at least boost posts. When you post, that costs about $15. It's very doable. You might want to run ads. You might want to write blogs to be found easier. All of these things back up your SEO. And then when you do write social posts, you want it to be based on what your audience values, what would be helpful for them, and what you want them to remember about you. We call this the content pillars. If you want them to remember, SEO, search engine optimization, it's how everybody is found on the internet. If you want to be found, you want to improve something called your SEO. That's how people find you. I will tell you, if you are writing for a strong benefit, you've been clear about what your services are, and you've got these ideas of what you want the takeaways to be, chances are your SEO will be pretty good. But there are some technical elements to that too. That's a little bit of a deeper dive. But at the very least, make sure the website conveys your message well and speaks to the benefit. And when you write social, what do you want people to take away from that piece? You want them to learn, have something of value, and remember you for these traits, right? The other thing you should do, if you are in business already, you should call your old customers. This is a wonderful ad from the 1950s about a business publication encouraging people to advertise first. I don't know who you are. I don't know your company. I don't know your company's product, etc. Now, what was it you wanted to sell me? That is what a cold lead looks like, right? You would like to go to warm leads as much as possible. Your clients or even friends are the warmest lead you can get. They're going to close the sale faster because they know you and they trust you. And they might sincerely want to know what you offer. Yeah, generally speaking, I would say pick up the phone. It's more immediate, it's more personal than an email. If you can't reach them, hey, I try to call you. Here's a little email, what I wanted to bug you about. That's okay too, right? Or even a text, depending on what level you're on. They already love you. They could also just spread the word and be your ambassador. Hey, I don't really need this right now, but you know what? Now that you mentioned all the things you do, I've got somebody for you, right? They already trust you and they know your product and service. So your friends, family, professional contacts, customers, if you have them, that's who you want to go to first. Make sure your website's set up. So when they look at it, they're going to say, oh yeah, this is a great service. And then start reaching out, right? So tactic 3, ask for referrals. Do not be shy. Say, hey guys, I am starting this up or I'm doing this. Can you refer somebody to me? Surprisingly few companies do this. Set up an actual plan. I'm going to ask for 5 referrals a week. Here's who I'm going to reach out to, right? This is our normal way of sharing things. Think of this. I went to a restaurant the other day. The shrimp was marvelous. I just have to tell you about it. Now, am I saying, oh, you should go to this restaurant, in a very systematic way? Or am I just sharing information for you? You know what? You mentioned somebody that I think I could really be of help to, because it sounds like they weren't really sure about some of those foundational business skills to get their business to grow. Can I talk to them? Right? It does not have to be this awkward formal thing. You are sharing what you do and how it can help. Okay? Sincere and credible recommendations. It often rewards the client if a client is referring you, because you can throw them some money or some percentage or a free hour or whatever. It also helps to cement a positive experience. If somebody has used you and they had a great experience and said, you know what, I've just loved working with you. I would love to know more of the people you know. Can I just get some intros for some conversations, right? It's because you've had such a positive experience with them, you're carrying it forward. You can also pick 2 or 3 specific people from their LinkedIn profiles and say, hey, I noticed you know so-and-so. That sounds like an interesting business, or that sounds like somebody that I could work with. Ask for an introduction. Don't just pass your name around. Say, hey, can you do an email introduction with both of us on it? And say, I'd love you to refer to this person. And sometimes what we do is we put a little blurb there. So if you're asking for an introduction, say, hey, Nancy's been doing, entrepreneurship business for 30 years. I think she might have a few insights for blah, blah, blah. Okay. Think of how they should introduce you and give that to them. Then it'll just take them 2 seconds. So that's the email or support materials, or even a brochure you can pass along as well, right? Generally speaking, we don't ask for referrals when people are paying money. Ask at the big wins if you're doing this from a client. And it's more about who their influence sphere is rather than how many dollars, you'd like to gain. And if you have any employees, don't forget to ask your employees too. Hey guys, do you know anybody? I have a big design firm that I work with who works with Twilio and Instacart. Her employees recommend people all the time. It's a real good in. So that's one way to market yourself, right? So website, ask your clients or friends if you don't have clients yet, and ask for referrals, and then create partnerships. For any of you who are not wild about upfront sales, like, oh, I feel kind of awkward going out there and selling myself, I would say that's probably 50% of the people out there. So sometimes the way you can do that is through a partnership. Like maybe I work with an ad agency, and that ad agency, when they get clients who have no idea what their business model is and they're not ready for ad strategy yet, well, they're going to come to me so that I can get their business model together, see what drives revenue, so then the ad agency can determine what the strategy is. So see how those partnerships work, how you work together. Good question, by the way. How do you balance all of this with delivering the service? We have identified at Cultivate Advisors the various stages of businesses, right? And the first stage, when you're a solopreneur or don't have any other people on board or systems on board, the most important thing you can do is sell. So presumably when you start out, you're not at capacity, right? Selling is absolutely the most important thing you can do. So this marketing is helping your sales efforts. So if you're spending it doing anything else other than doing the process yourself, you know, working with clients, you're putting your emphasis in the wrong place. Selling is absolutely the most important. Once you've gotten enough business that you can hire an assistant to help you, then you'll have more bandwidth for you to do more sales and marketing yourself. At some point, do you farm out the marketing? Absolutely. But first you need that really good basis business-wise, right? So creating partnerships is really efficient. You know, one banker and they refer you out to 20 businesses. How great is that? Better than having to talk to 20 different people to refer you out, right? It's often very cooperative. Sometimes when I have a partner, like I have a financial advisor who advises businesses, he and I trade things back and forth. Michael said like, oh, you need to work with these people on their business. I said, oh, and they need your financial help. So it can go back and forth like that too. So think of who could refer you. Who's a good person for you, right? So will and estates, sometimes it's a lawyer who doesn't handle that, right? Sometimes it's somebody who is with elder care or transition and they find they don't have these things together. Who would be a good person to refer you? A banker, a business consultant, an accountant. If you're doing B2C, a mom's group, a friends of school club, a gym, workout place, a concierge for a hotel. Who could refer your services? And it could also include influencers or press if you know any of those people as you go along. So that's what creating partnerships is all about. And then we get into the measurement aspect, right? Once you've done these tactics, you want to see how well any of them are working. Okay. So I fixed my website. Am I getting some inbound leads from that? I reached out to these clients. Am I getting referrals from that? I asked for referrals. How many referrals do I have to ask for to get how much of a return? I published blogs about the value of my business. Did anybody pay attention? Okay. You want to measure it and then tweak that if you need to. So the website, you can tweak your website so people spend more time there. They click on your action things like ask for an appointment, right? They don't bounce. Bounce means when you go on a website, you have almost no interaction with it. You head right out. It's almost like you made a mistake, right? And there's better conversion. Conversion is whether or not they move to the sale. So you want to know where you start, right? Maybe I'll do 2 visitors a week. I want to get it up to 10 visitors a week. And I want them all to spend 2 minutes on the page instead of 1. And start seeing what you need to do to get better and better engagement, right? For social, I put up this great blog about my new book. Did it drive any leads for me? Was anybody interested? Did they make any comments? How did that work out, right? For ads, if you put up an ad, did that get any traction? How can you change that? For your target market, which target market converted the best, right? When I went to moms for my service, they weren't that interested. Maybe instead I need to go to busy executives who need my assistant service or whatever it is, right? For your message, there's something called an A/B test where we test several messages. What messaging might land the best for you? And then you want to know what actually moved the needle on sales, what got you a client, right? And then what kind of profit that you've made from that client. Did you get a whole bunch of clients, but they were the really cheap ones and you made almost no money off of them? Well, we probably have to change our message or approach different people so that we get more traction, right? So these are all things to think about. So I know that that was just a ton of information. And for each one of those things, you could go deeper and deeper and deeper, right? Start where you are, step by step, learning how to go forward. Message, get that right. Get your target market right. Get your tactics down or try one at a time and see how they work for you. And then measure it or assess it at the back end and see, did that move the needle? Did that drive any clients? Whether or not that worked, okay? So that is all about marketing. What I would encourage you to do is kind of take it to the streets here. Write down 3 actions you're going to take to improve your marketing right now. Write down how long each one of those will take. Well, I think I can improve my messaging, but it's going to take me, I don't know, 5 hours of bouncing it off a friend or Maura to figure it out. And then I'm going to have to change my website messaging. Break that down into pieces and put them in your calendar. Brainstorming about messaging, 2 hours next Tuesday. Brainstorming about messaging, 2 hours next Thursday. Taking that messaging to the website, 3 hours the next Tuesday. Put it in your calendar. That's how it gets done. Forget to-do lists, make the time and set aside the time for it. So that is what I have for you today. I want to tell you one other thing. Like I said, I ran through a ton of things, but I'm a business advisor. This is what I do with an emphasis on marketing due to all my experience with big agencies and with startups and small businesses themselves. If you have any questions, I mean it. Absolutely reach out. Nancy@cultivateadvisors.com. Of course, if you'd like to talk to me about advising you and walking you through all of these things once you're done with your program, that's fine too. I would be happy to help you. We can just set up a half-an-hour consultation and go through some more of this and get you the resources and the process that you need to move this forward. So opening it up for questions. Any other questions that I can help you with? I'm looking in the chat, or you can just pop up and say something. Anything about this presentation that stuck? What was your takeaway from today?
This is Kate. Sorry, I have a background noise going on, so forgive me. But I just wanted to say the thing that I felt like I actually really appreciated was the story branding thing that you mentioned. I felt like that just really kind of made me think a little bit differently about my messaging. I really like the how start, because I feel like I feel like I'm need help figuring out like exactly how to say what problem I'm solving. So I feel like the how helps me get that rolling better.
Right. And then, this is how we solve it. So you can do this. Think if you're in a networking and some guy says, I'm a financial planner, you're like, oh, okay, that's really boring. I think I need a drink, right? But if they say, hey, you know how even for the smartest among us, figuring out all the pieces of financial puzzle are so confusing. Well, we break it apart and have all the options and give you a definite roadmap, whether you use this or not. so you can have the clarity you need to make smart decisions. How much more interesting is that than saying I'm a financial planner, right? Big difference.
Exactly. Thank you. Thanks.
Sure. Anybody else? Any takeaways?
Hi, Nancy. This is Mahen.
Hi,
Uh,
Mahin.
Yeah, this is really excellent. I liked. I It's hard to choose which one I liked, so I'd say overall I found very good tips to take my business forward. I do have one question for you. Is about the SEO and the website and that area. Being a professional service, I have a couple of customers, but all of them have come through a word of mouth. And although I feel like I want your thoughts on that, saying a website is great to have to establish legitimacy that this business is not some, it exists and all that. But how much should I spend or how much should we invest in that area as compared, because it's a different type of business. Like it's nice to have, but I don't know if, so by the way, I sell consulting, finance and accounting services, as that's my business.
Mhm.
But I don't see people looking at a website and saying, oh, this is like, looks like a good finance guy to work with type.
Yeah.
So I don't want to invest too much, but give me, if you can throw some light on that.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things is it's great that you have strong word of mouth, and that speaks beautifully about your services itself too, and that's great. And to grow that by word of mouth it can be a very good way to do. But just like you said, people are going to go back and check your website. So you still want the messaging to be clear. It's like when you try on clothes at the store and somebody says, "Oh, that looks great on you." You're like, "Oh, I made a good decision." Right? This is a person who's credible, knowledgeable, and is going to help me with exactly what I need. I will tell you that websites, for the most part, a reasonable website is about $3,500. If you go to, a professional website designer, developer, writer, that sort of thing. You can get them done for less, just as kind of almost like a page holder website. One of the things you want to balance out is the inbound and outbound. So the outbound is like your word of mouth, you're picking up the phone, any of this outbound marketing. But to realize some inbound marketing will be very helpful as you grow your business. So the better your website is, the more it acts like a virtual sales pitch that's kind of selling without you doing anything. So you might think, hey, I can't sell by website, but if we said Chicago's premier financial advisor for the construction business, if you had a very definite niche, you would come up anytime somebody talks about finance for a construction business, and you could get a fair amount of business from that. So it depends on how you niche it and how you position yourself, but it's all about getting that inbound business without having to push out, because as I believe it was Angela said, there's only one of you, there's only so much you can do, right?
Good point. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions or takeaways?
Hi, Nancy. Thank you so much.
Sure,
Could you
Sia.
share some best practice for social media marketing?
The most important thing you can do for social media marketing, it's not about the channel. It's not about how often you post. It's not even about the time of day. The most important thing you could do is give your prospective clients valuable information that they need. Have you ever been to, once again, a networking thing and somebody comes up and says, hey, I'm a financial advisor. Can you recommend me to friends of yours? I'm like, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you do. I don't know what's special about you, right? You do not want to sell up front. You want to provide them something of value that they might be looking for. The guide to the 5 things you need to do for will and estates that you might not have thought of. Then people say, oh, this person knows exactly what I need. I'm going to contact them. Valuable information is the most important thing.
Thank you.
Sure. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we're a little out of time. I think, Maura, you need to move on in your agenda.
Yes, thank you. It is 10 o'clock. Thank you very much, Nancy. This was so helpful.
Okay.
We appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you anytime. And don't hesitate to reach out, anybody.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, why don't we take a 5-minute break and meet back here at 10:05 so we can get started on our slogans and talking about marketing mix. I did send you an email with a tool that we're going to use in our next breakout session. So hope everyone got it. It is the marketing mix tool from Growth Wheel. Okay, so we'll see you back here at 10:05. Mm. Okay, welcome back.
Hey, Maura, I wanted to share one thing that from the previous presentation, since that presenter is not there, I can share about the little experience I had developing my website and going through that process, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so I had that dilemma that I don't want to spend $2,000-3,000 on a website where I don't know if my business is gonna take off or not. And so I did some research, and what I found is if you go to, there are two websites called GoDaddy, and there's another called Wix, Wix. You
Uh-huh.
can actually drop and build that website, see if the name is available and all that for like $300 or $400. That's how much I spent, and 3 hours. So
Oh, wow. So a lot less money.
yeah, my investment was 3 hours and a couple $100 to get it up. And it's very easy. I'm not a tech person or so, but I was able to drag and drop some of the pictures and some taglines and, do those things very user friendly. So just if somebody
Yeah,
wants.
well, thank you. I know that my husband is a consultant and he used WordPress, and the same was true of that. They have SEO tactics, and it was a lot less expensive than $3,000.
Yeah,
Laura.
there's several that do that. Squarespace is another one. Hey, Mahen, can you remind us, type in the chat your website name? I'd like to check it out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Thanks.
And
It's
also,
pretty basic. It's pretty basic. So it's
this
not.
is Elena. Another thing too you can do that'll save you money, even with it being basic. I know if you're not somebody who really understands tech a lot, you can still go, you can use Wix or WordPress, any of those, and you can go on Fiverr, and it's a lot less money. You can hire somebody to help you build it out, and it's going to cost you way less than $3,000.
Yeah,
For a startup, 3,000 is great once you're established, but for a startup, that's a huge expenditure.
right.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
There's also Upwork is another freelance site. So they're similar to Fiverr. And we've had people have really a lot of success. Fiverr sounds like you wouldn't be able to, because they're based on the premise of $5 per activity. So you wouldn't expect to get great results, but I've heard a number of people have had good results from them.
Well, and they started that way, but now there's a whole range. You can spend 300, 500, but there are things you can get for $5. But yeah, you can kind of put in what your range is that you want to spend, and you can see what you get. And even just having that little bit of support for someone who's not very technical, doesn't know a lot of the tech side, it doesn't have to be that expensive to get a website up and going.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
okay, so I thought we would work together and brainstorm in small groups about marketing tactics. So does everyone understand the difference between the strategy and the tactics? So marketing strategy is kind of the 4 Ps, product, price, promotion. And it dictates the marketing activity needed to achieve your business goals and vision. But the tactics are how you execute the strategy and hence answer how exactly that will happen. So Nancy went over a few of the tactics, and I thought we'd work together, thinking through who are you creating value for, who are your customers, who is going to buy your product or service. So going back to the business model canvas, you probably have outlined, I think most of you probably have a few target market segments. So I'd like you to pick one segment. So Kate, you probably have young families, and then similar to, I think, the estate planning attorneys, young families, and then people that want to leave a legacy. Mahan, you may have small businesses, which may be different than your mid-sized companies that you're helping. So pick one segment, and you can use this marketing mix tool as a guideline, but work through together. And this may not be that you may not use these tactics for a while because you're still finalizing your target market segments, but I want you to always be able to rely on this class today and think back to, you know, what's the best way to, what tactic can I use to meet that target market segment's needs? So whether it is advertising in professional publications, I know I spoke with an organizer a couple days ago. She put ads in the church newsletter, and that was successful for her because she was in a community that had a lot of families, and they love the organizing side of things. Or you can do digital and printed material. I think we talked about this before, that people are, you know, people are at home now, so they are looking at printed material a lot more often. It used to be that I would just get home from work and throw everything up. Now I'm here all day and I go through the mail a little bit. I take longer to go through it. The online media presence, I liked what Nancy said about that. Make sure you have social media posts that really, you know, matter to your target market segment. And then email marketing, that's what we use at the Women's Business Development Center. We have about 50,000 names on our email list, and we break that email list down into different segments. Depending on the program we're offering, we target those segments. And then your publications can always be used as, you know, a source of credibility. And then think about when things are back in person, trade fairs, conferences, getting out and talking to people that way, or association meetings. So I thought we would break out into small groups for 20 minutes, talk about your business model canvas and the target market segment that you're aiming for. Pick one segment and then list 5 marketing tactics to reach that target market segment. So just come up with 5 different ideas for how to target that segment. So I am going to create breakout rooms. Okay, so does anyone have any questions? Does everyone have that tool? Okay, let's go for 20 minutes and write down 5 tactics you can use for the target market segment you're choosing. Welcome back. How did that go? Did you help each other come up with, I said 5 things, but I think some people said they came up with 1 or 2 or 3 things? Anyone want to share their tools that they learned to use or tactics they're gonna use going forward? Okay, should I pick on someone?
Okay, really quickly, Maura. In our
Okay.
group, very enlightening. I enjoyed it. Thank you. We had a little mixture of things going on, so I don't want to disclose what the others' methods are. But me being in marketing, I just piggybacked on a few things that Nancy said, and I was letting my group know that I'm in marketing, obviously, but some things that she shed a light on this morning, you know, it's new news to my ears. So now I have to go back and do more homework and research so that I can be more familiar with those terms. So in terms of the growth wheel, obviously, you know, you want to get out there, you got to be personal, you got to be not in their face, you don't have to appear salesy in the first 2, you know, interactions, but you got to get from behind the computer screens and the phone. So my biggest thing was just, you know, going out, you know, just being a patron if it's something or a service that you like, if you're in marketing in that channel, and kind of just getting to know that chain of management, getting to know that leader, and then kind of making that relationship. It doesn't have to be take you out for coffee or some sort of thing, but you have to kind of learn your environment before you try to pitch that, oh, work with me, pick me, you know, join, you know. So just being personal, like the exercise indicated, go out. I think that's the biggest. And then those email and those phone calls and that web, but you just got to go out and breathe that air, I believe.
Yeah, that's great. Anyone else want to share any ideas? Okay, I know Sia asked, what do you do if you try something and it doesn't work? Yeah, so I always suggest that people try something for a month or 2 months, and then switch it up if you're not getting any conversion. I know I have a client who's a coach, and she's on LinkedIn. Every Monday she posts and she gets thousands of likes and followers, but no one has converted into a client. So she's got to figure out narrowing her niche and maybe her advice, or she hasn't used videos yet. So we suggested using videos just to get more personal, like you said, Sonia, to get upfront and personal with people. And then there is the A/B testing. You can do that on your website. If you know how to do SEO, you can put out a problem you're solving on one page and then change it up and put up another problem you're solving and see which draws more followers and more conversion.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would have liked to learn more about what she was talking about, using the sales funnel process on your website. That maybe, I think you said you were talking about sales next week, so maybe that's something that we'll learn.
Mm-hmm.
That is something to know more about.
Yeah, it's kind of the iteration where in sales, they first are aware of you, then they follow you, then they become your advocate. Okay, I thought we'd try another fun activity with slogans. So here are just a few obvious catchphrases that we hear all the time. Think different, just do it, imagination at work. So it's a small catchphrase, group of words that are combined in a special way to identify your services. I just wanted to show you, I'm going to move on to this one because I thought this was good because this is actual clients of ours. And these are a few of their slogans. So I just added organized chaos plus, and she just says making life a little less complicated. She was the organizer I spoke with this week. But the landscaper writes creating your oasis. the Flavor Unit Corporation, community, cuisine, culture, egg rolls, what's your filling? So it kind of corresponds to your unique value proposition. So again, what problem are you helping to solve for your customer? What value do you deliver? And again, what Nancy said, what makes your idea unique? So you could either create a, a one statement slogan, or you can use what Nancy suggests. You know how well we, so you can. So the unique value proposition would be here in the well we. So you know how the problem statement, well, we are unique value proposition, so you can, and telling what what problem you're solving, what solution they'll have. So I thought we could pair up, and this time, do we have 15? I'll probably have to stop you about 12 minutes. So discuss your unique value proposition and create your slogan together. So maybe if everyone wants to write this down and fill in the blanks here, that can be a good way to start. If you want to do your slogan, a one statement slogan, you can just do the well we. Does anyone have any questions about this? Okay,
What do you mean by you know how? What, I don't understand.
That's the problem. So you know how when you need to plan for retirement, well, we will help you through an estate plan so you can feel, more comfortable or more, ready for retirement. So I don't know if you've ever watched Shark Tank, but they always begin it with, how your back hurts and you need to stretch. Well, we provide stretching services, or we provide yoga moves so you can feel better afterwards.
Got you. Thank you.
Okay.
So you feel like the slogan is the well we part. I got it.
Yes. Okay, so probably 12 minutes and I'll broadcast 12 when you have 5 minutes to go. Hi, Gina.
My internet crapped out and I got kicked out and I was just able to get back on.
Okay, let me see. Do you want to go back in? There's 2 more minutes.
Yeah, that would be great if you could.
Yeah, they were asking where you were, so let me assign you to room 1. Okay, there you go.
Thanks.
Okay, welcome back, everyone.
Hello.
Does anyone want to share your slogan or your you know how well we so you can? Gives you a chance to pitch quickly.
Mahen, I want to volunteer you. You were good.
All right. Thank you. Oh, okay. Thank you, Kate, for the compliment. So my once short pitch, you know how, okay, let me take a step. You know how, and this is a pitch to the companies, you know how you grow your business, and as you grow to the next level, you lose track of your business, how you're doing, your profitability and cash flow. Well, we provide you that lens and insights, and we help you convert your data into actionable insights so you can move on to the next tier of your growth and be and exploit your full potential, something like that.
Yay!
Thank you.
Everyone, round of applause.
Thank you.
Great. Anyone else want to share? We only have about 1 minute, but we could get one more person in. Okay, we'll wait till next week, or you can do it. You can give it to me or to Felicitas in a one-on-one advising session if you want to do it that way. So for next week, I'd love you to keep doing your customer discovery interviews. Send me your Excel spreadsheet because I like proof that you're doing these if you're getting out there. Remember to revise your business model canvas if you figure out anything, learn anything more about your target market or your unique value proposition or possible partners. And then there's this marketing section. Has everyone received their 3 books? Okay, great. So book 2, there's a marketing section, pages 13 to 29. I know that's a lot of pages, but take it slowly, and it's always there as a supplement. So we discussed last week's homework. We talked about marketing strategy with Nancy. You discussed a few marketing tactics and hopefully created a slogan or a problem statement, the solution to the problem you're solving. So our practice, whether you're a painter, a coach, or a fundraiser, is a commitment to the problems in front of us and the people who will benefit from a useful solution to them. And that's by Seth Godin. I don't know, I get a daily quote from him and I find them useful. Okay. Have a great week. I am going to send out the homework and I'm going to send out a link so you can set up 30-minute sessions with me so we can do some review of the last 5 classes. So feel free to take me up on that. I would love to hear how far you've progressed and if you have any questions. And I'd love to hear feedback on what you've felt about the program so far. Next week, we'll have a sales subject matter expert. So that will be fun and hopefully she'll get into pricing because I know there's been a lot of pricing questions. I'm thinking the sales expert or the accountant. So I'm going to talk to both of them. Okay, well, have a great week, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me.
You too. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
see you. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Oh, good long weekend too.